Hola, bienvenidos todos, and welcome along to another Speech Bubble Languages Spanish Language Clinic. Today's video is looking at regular present tense verbs in Spanish, primarily focusing on verbs of the AR group. So let's get started. First and foremost, let's check that you're happy you know what a verb is in English. Well, a verb is a word that's used to describe an action, a state, or an occurrence. Let's take a look at some of those in English to begin with. Can you spot the verb in the following sentences? I eat a green apple. You play football. We buy some expensive clothes. They travel on a large plane. She studies for her exams. We are clever. So, in each of these sentences, a verb is in play. We have eat, play, buy, travel, studies, and the verb in the last one, are. That's the state of being. To be is where we get are from in English. To describe what we and others do, we have to know how to form a verb. This is known as verb conjugation. It's something that we do in English without even thinking. If we take a look at our example on the screen, we have the verb dance. I dance, you dance, he dances, she dances, we dance, you or yous dance, as we would say in Scotland for the you plural, and they dance. And if you take a look at the verb on its way down, the verb dance, you can see that the spelling changes slightly in accordance to who is doing that action, particularly around that he and she, you'll see that spell change. Now, this happens in all of our verbs in English. That's just if English is our mother tongue, we're not realising that we're doing this conjugation. It's something that comes naturally to us. For example, the verb to be, I am, you are, he, she is, we are, you are, they are. It's something we do without thinking. Well, below here, we can see some examples of Spanish verbs. Now, these verbs are shown in the form that would be found in a dictionary. This is known as the verb in its infinitive form. Hablar, criticar, charlar, bailar, entender, proteger, ignorar, dibujar, aburrir y escuchar. As I said, these are in their infinitive formats. You can see their English translation starts with to talk, to criticise, to chat, and so on and so forth. However, we don't know who's doing the talking, the protecting. We don't know when this action is taking place. They're in their infinitive format. So if you take a close look at these verbs in Spanish, they can be grouped into certain categories, and this is to do with the last two letters of the verb in their infinitive. If you look really carefully, some of our verbs end in AR, others end in ER, and some end in IR. So how many groups of verbs are there in Spanish? There are three groups of verbs. And as I said, it's to do with the last two letters of the verb in the infinitive, AR, ER, or IR. AR verbs are the biggest group of verbs in Spanish. They actually account for about 60-65% of all Spanish verbs. Once you know the conjugation pattern for an AR verb, you can pretty much apply it to any other verb within the group, providing they're regular verbs and behaving properly. Let's take the verb hablar. This means to speak. When we conjugate a verb, we consider all the different people who can do that action. I, you, talking to one person, also known as singular, that's why that SG is there. He, she, or it can talk, speak. We speak, you speak. Now, this is you plural, that yous we see here in Glasgow, or they speak. Now, these words do exist in Spanish. Yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, y ellas. These are called pronouns. But in Spanish, they don't tend to use these pronouns as much as we do. The yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, y ellas are often used just for emphasis, to emphasize who's doing the speaking, for example. Now let's stick our verb hablar down the side of these pronouns. Now remember, hablar means to speak. So in order to say I speak in Spanish, you can't say yo hablar. That means I to speak. So what we need to do is conjugate the verb hablar to change the spelling of the verb so that we know who it is that's doing the speaking. And there's a few steps to that. First and foremost, we remove the AR off of the verb in its infinitive format. Off it goes. And what you can see there is actually called the stem of the verb. Once you remove those last two letters, a bit like taking the kind of head off a flower, you're left with the stem there. Now we change the spelling now. We add on some letters according to who's doing the speaking. I speak. I am speaking. Hablo. You speak. You are speaking. Hablas. He, she, or it speaks. He, she, it is speaking. Habla. We speak. Hablamos. You, plural, speak. Habláis. And finally, they speak. They are speaking. Hablan. Hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan. And like I said before, Spanish people do use yo, tú, él, ella, etc. But often it's just to emphasize who might be doing the speaking, for example. Yo hablo español y tú hablas español. You can hear that little inflection on your voice too. So the idea behind this is for you to memorize this pattern, because if you can memorize this pattern, you can apply it to any other verb within the AR group. And if you attend a class with us at Speech Bubble, you know we have almost like a little dance we do to help memorize this little pattern by moving your hands in a certain way. The idea is that you memorize it as follows. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Hablo, hablas, habla, habla, habla. Hablamos, habláis, hablan. Try saying it along with me. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Hablo, hablas, habla, habla, habla. Hablamos, habláis, hablan. Muy bien hecho. Well done. So as I've showed you here, this is the example of hablar, to speak. And I've said to you, if you know this and memorize this pattern, then you can apply these verb conjugation patterns to other verbs within the AR group. So here's a few more to try out. Bailar, to dance. Bailo, bailas. Baila, baila, baila. Bailamos, bailáis, bailan. Cantar, to sing. Canto, cantas. Canta, canta, canta. Cantamos, cantáis, cantan. Apoyar, to support someone. Remember, take that AR off. Apoyo, apoyas, apoya, apoya, apoya. Apoyamos, apoyáis, apoyan. Let's try one more. Dibujar, dibujar means to draw. Dibujo, dibujas, dibuja, dibuja, dibuja. Dibujamos, dibujáis, dibujan. Try to memorize that pattern, and why not try to dibujar, to draw out that pattern a few times on some paper to check that you can get that spelling right too. Remember, there's an accent hiding on habláis, that AIS ending, and that's really important too. So let's hear that little pattern once more. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Hablo, hablas, habla, habla, habla. Hablamos, habláis, hablan. Remember, there are a couple of other groups of verbs as well. You've just learned the pattern for the AR verbs group today, the biggest group. Why not check out our next video to learn the pattern for the other two groups? Muchísimas gracias y hasta la próxima. Thank you very much. See you next time.